Matthew Ward, March 25, 2015. With loving greetings from all souls at this station, this is Matthew. Evidence of the ever-growing light can become obscured by what may seem endless turmoil, and we know that in those moments it is difficult to keep foremost in your thoughts, the light is victorious. In the months ahead, you shall see this more clearly as discussions behind closed doors start bearing fruit that you will heartily welcome. On behalf of souls here, I am happy to address questions and comments that accumulated while my mother was visiting our family in South America. Concerns most often expressed have to do with ISIS, whose actions are keeping this group in the global spotlight. This is where it must be, where the weight of the world is against barbaric behavior and your society can see the need to eradicate the roots from whence it springs: foreign invasions, vengeance, bigotry, poverty and ignorance. Do not be misled by those who misguidedly point fingers at Islam as the cause. ISIS atrocities violate the most basic tenets of that faith. Just as one can cite passages of the Quran that call for killing the infidels, so can one cite passages of the Bible that justify the killing of people who don't embrace Christian precepts. And, despite all omissions and distortions of the original records that became those holy books, they still contain passages advocating love and respect. The dawn of belief in one supreme deity quickly was perverted by the darkness, and religious dogmas devised by power-hungry, greedy individuals, not by persons inspired by God or Allah, became the most divisive force within your civilization and the grounds for centuries of unspeakable persecution. Now then, your universal family cannot halt ISIS' path of death and destruction, because they are not permitted to interfere in the free will choices of any individuals except those who attempt to send nuclear warheads into space. Yes, eventually heightening vibrations would topple the Islamic State, but in the interim, ISIS would continue exemplifying the basest of third-density behavior. Never do we favor, much less suggest combat, but we understand that stopping that group's progress requires a coalition of troops from directly affected countries and their neighbors, with other kinds of assistance from other nations. We are not underestimating ISIS' military strength, funds, recruiting success or determination to keep expanding their territory, but with dissension emerging within the leadership and the rank and file, they are not as indomitable as they want your world to believe. I'd like to know Matthew's opinion of this part of the posting about Gordon Duff's speech at an international conference in Damascus about terrorism. What is going on in Iraq and Syria with ISIS is not terrorism, it is simply crime. That is, it is the works of an international crime cabal which has gotten control of the American Congress. Duff identified this crime cabal as Israeli, and pointed out that this is worldwide crime on a scale never experienced before. Duff explained how the Supreme Court decision of Citizens United made it possible for an Israeli-American organized crime magnate now operating out of Macau, Sheldon Adelson, to essentially buy control of both houses of Congress in the last election and being able to bring Congress under control of this international crime syndicate which specializes in human trafficking and narcotics. What we say about the cited part of the posting is not opinion, it is our knowledge that the information is factual. While by no means is it the whole story, that fragment is indeed true, and the only editing we would offer is citing terrorism for what it is, a crime against humanity. Will the cabal be removed this year with a new governance in place? First we say that the cabal, a common term for the disparate groups under the Illuminati umbrella with the common aim of world domination, isn't a tightly knit force operating as a single organization. It is an international network that infiltrated governments, banking and commerce, corporations, education, religions, the media, military forces, legal and justice systems, medical establishment, entertainment fields, every organization, agency and institution that impacts life on Earth. That global network cannot be removed or replaced in one fell swoop. Ridding it entirely from your world is a process, and that process has been underway for the past several decades, incrementally weakening the cabal's powers by bringing to light their deceit and corruption of long standing. Also, in recent years the ever-increasing light has touched some cabal members and they left the ranks. Some had such change of heart that they became enthusiastic light workers while others just stopped participating in activities intended to have negative outcomes. Pockets of strong influence remain, but as the planet keeps moving into levels of successively higher vibrations, those pockets will either crumble or continue ebbing until they're non-existent. Is ISIS acting under Illuminati control? No, because that isn't necessary for Illuminati purposes. Dark minds feed on the energy of fear, and ISIS and other tyrannical regimes and groups are creating the abundance of fear energy that keeps refueling the Illuminati's strength. What are Matthew's thoughts about House Speaker Boehner inviting Prime Minister Netanyahu to address Congress? This is purely political in nature, and, as stated in previous messages, souls at this station are apolitical. So it is without judgment or partisan favoritism that we agree with your analysts who interpret the invitation as a slap in the face to President Obama for continuing negotiations with Iran instead of taking the harsh steps that Netanyahu favors, and so do some members of Congress. Some congressional members are Illuminati themselves and many others are controlled by Illuminati via campaign funding, blackmail, bribery or dire threats. And some of the small number who aren't in Illuminati clutches one way or another have closed minds about resolving issues by any means other than their narrow perspective. This is why, of all governments that you call democratic, the one in the United States can be called the most badly broken. Contrary to what is perceived by many of the citizenry, ever since President Obama took office, he has been endeavoring to fix the government by ridding it of the Illuminati influence that further enriches the wealthy and strangles measures that would serve the needs of the people. Is Netanyahu in the Illuminati, or is his bellicosity due to his serious responsibility for Israel's safety? He is at the peak of the Illuminati, and so are, or were, all of his predecessors in that position. As stated in prior messages, the Illuminati never have served the best interests of Jewish people in Israel or anywhere else in the world. The Illuminati instigated all the pogroms in Europe and their Nazi element carried out the Holocaust. Using Judaism or Zionism as justification for their actions, the Illuminati have long kept the Mideast boiling, and they have discredited anyone who questioned their warmongering by labeling those persons anti-Semitic. Masters at creating divisiveness, the Illuminati initiated an assortment of labels for different religious beliefs, forms of governance, theories, philosophies and ideologies. Largely through religious and academic teachings and mainstream media, which have been under Illuminati control down through the years, your society has been carefully taught to scorn everything outside their own labeled category. And the Illuminati successfully instilled the mindset that anyone they labeled anti-Semitic is a hateful person who is against the well-being of the Jewish population. But Netanyahu does indeed take very seriously Israel's safety. Long before the 1948 establishment of today's Israel, an Illuminati intention was to make Jerusalem their Mideast headquarters to expand their economic and political entrenchments in the Vatican, London, New York City and Washington, D.C. Does Matthew know if reassessing U.S.-Israel relations means that in order to keep getting financial support, Israel has to stop oppressing Palestinians and finally there can be peace in that region? We don't know what provisions would be included in any reassessing. What we do know is, when the Illuminati hardliners in Israel's government and military are uncloaked, so to say, there can be cooperative relations between Israelis and Palestinians. As vibrations continue heightening in your war-weary world, peace and harmony will come wherever oppression, battling or tyranny exist. Is there more significance to NBC's Brian Williams' Iraq War story, perhaps something karmic, or is it as simple as he told a lion got caught? Although this topic no longer is headline-worthy, the question offers us the opportunity to show how karma is not set in stone, but rather offers considerable flexibility in the means whereby it is experienced. Speaking of Mr. Williams, we know from colleagues in Nirvana that he chose as his primary mission to educate the public. He could have done that as elementary school teacher, college professor, trade school instructor, writer, environmentalist researcher or newspaper editor, as examples. But he followed his interests that led to television news reporting. There is the same flexible latitude in experiencing a chosen karmic lesson. In that context, perhaps Mr. Williams agreed to the humiliation of the discovery that he had falsified a war story to show the public the importance of using discernment about mainstream media information. It may have been a strong statement to media that reporting must be accurate or credibility will be lost. It could be that the emergence of his story years later would serve as an example that eventually truth will come out. However Mr. Williams views what he did in the consequences, it's in line with his sole contract choice to educate the public. Several readers expressed concerns about vaccines and the ongoing controversy about their safety versus risks, and one wrote, "Why did just a few cases of measles become an urgent vaccination situation? This isn't a deadly disease. As far as we know, none of your doctors has explained why they were urging vaccinations for such a mild disease or how a disease that purportedly had been eradicated in the US suddenly popped up. Your medical establishment is in bed with the companies that manufacture vaccines. And, a few children were inoculated with potent doses to give them measles, from them a few children with low immunity systems caught it, and some passed it on to a few others who also had compromised immune defenses. The earliest vaccines were developed by scientists whose purposes were benevolent, and the use of vaccinations was too. However, the Illuminati saw that vaccines could achieve one of their major goals, eliminating most of Earth's population, thus they were used to cause the diseases that the public was told they would prevent. During the past half-century or so, a variety of viruses developed in Illuminati laboratories have been released to initiate a pandemic, and in previous messages we have explained why in recent years all of those attempts failed. The August 12, 2014 message is the most comprehensive information. For readers who asked, if vaccines cause or contribute to autism, I asked my mother to copy a reply to this question in a prior message. Is the sizable increase in autism related to the shift in consciousness? Not at all. The growing numbers of children who have symptoms that are similar to autism is due to toxins in inoculations, and the symptoms are exacerbated by pollutants in air, water and soil, and chemicals in food preservatives and prescribed drugs. True autism, which is far rarer, is the soul's choice of experience, to which all others sharing that lifetime agreed. And neither autism nor its look-alike condition will prevent those persons from physically ascending with Earth unless a short lifetime is part of the soul contract. February 13, 2011. Thank you, Mother. We don't know if Greece's new government can turn around the country's economy during the loan extension period, but it is most unlikely. The severity of that economic situation and other nations' similar woes are a necessary prelude to ushering in a new global economic system. The current rampantly corrupt system, designed and manipulated by Illuminati, has to collapse to make way for the new that is based on precious metals. Behind the scenes progress is being made to bring this to fruition in a transitional process that will minimize the likelihood of chaos. Maybe because I hear or read the same thing over and over, I'm giving credibility to information that doesn't merit it. For instance, is Putin as ruthless as he is portrayed by our media? Are he and Obama really working at polar opposites? The answer to both questions is no, but these closely related situations beg explanation. Both presidents are faced with serious national situations that in large part are the work of the Illuminati, but blame falls on the presidents, whose actions often are publicized as too weak or too aggressive. Both leaders are in the position of having to spout political rhetoric to show their respective nations' strength and resolve. Neither Mr. Putin nor Mr. Obama wants to precipitate conflict or cause economic hardships in other countries, much less wage war. And offstage, so to say, they are cooperating in efforts to achieve world peace, global economic stability, and the elimination of disease, impoverishment, crime and corruption. A reader in Spain wrote about trees in Madrid. Mother, please copy the pertinent part of his email and my reply. A huge percentage of trees of our city are suddenly extremely ill for no apparent reason. 2 of them collapsed last year, killing 2 people, so that the city council is planning to cut off thousands, up to 20% of the trees in some areas. I heard the same information from 3 different persons who communicate with guides. Madrid is suffering an energetic attack to leave the trees lifeless and disconnected from each other, and the next step is doing this with the population. Many people say Madrid is a hub, and what happens here has many consequences nationally and internationally. We are creating awareness about this here, but I think we could use help from other friends abroad who can send us their prayers. Matthew said he wasn't aware of this situation and would speak with colleagues in Nirvana. They told him that in an arrangement with Gaia approximately 10 years ago in linear time, the trees volunteered to absorb negativity originating primarily from fear-based thoughts, feelings and actions of people in Madrid. This was so effective in raising vibrations that the trees offered to attract and absorb negativity arising well beyond the city. Eventually assimilating negativity's low vibrations around the country severely weakened the trees. They willingly gave their lives to assist Earth rid herself of negativity so it didn't accumulate and adversely affect or destroy human lives. All along, trees have assisted the planet and the human population health-wise, but this was an extraordinary effort to aid planetary and personal ascension. In time, humankind will understand the interconnectedness of all life on the planet, that all are souls, and feel grateful for the many contributions of the plant kingdom and all animal life. Thank you, Mother. Every life form on Earth is an aspect of one intricate synergistic organism and all have important roles. However, if there were no trees, there would be no life there at all. Countless souls with ancient wisdom embodied as trees to serve the needs of all other life forms, and some of your oldest, largest trees have such high-level consciousness that they raise the consciousness of other life in extensive areas. As this awareness grows within your society, trees will be honored for their indispensable services. We hold in high esteem all who are endeavoring to save your forests and educate the populace about the importance of ending indiscriminate logging. Lighted beings throughout this universe are cheering you ever onward, and many are right there among you, helping in numerous ways to hasten your journey toward the full glories of Earth's golden age. Love and peace. Suzanne Ward. Website, thematthewbooks.com. Email, susie@matthewbooks.com. Note from Susie, the next message will be late March or early April because I'll be visiting family in South America. If you received this message as a forward and would like to get future messages directly, please join the Yahoo group. The link is at the top of Matthew's messages page on www.thematthewbooks.com. Join group now requires a cell phone number. To avoid that, in a new email type, messages from Matthew@yahoogroup.com, in the to-line and messages from Matthew-subscribe, in the subject line, then just click send.